These are the best metal albums of June. At least I think so. Alright, first up we have Kreator with Hate über Alles. Now, it was really a toss-up as to whether this album would make the list, but I really do think that Kreator have dropped one of their best albums since Coma of Souls.
No way! Yes way!
Hate über Alles is a fantastic fusion of intense thrashers like the title track in Killer of Jesus, Iron Maiden worship on Conquer and Destroy, Become Immortal, and Demonic Future, and some more new surprises as with the Sophia Portenay feature on the more melodic Midnight Sun. Hearing the somewhat corny Strongest of the Strong didn't really get me all that hyped for this thing, but I assure you that the best songs here are the deeper cuts. As I said in my Kreator tier list, it's a very solid 47-minute runtime loaded with great riffs, engaging pacing, and tons of shredding solos, which is really all that any Kreator fan could want. On a completely different note, we have Artificial Brain with Artificial Brain. Now, there's a reason why I ranked Artificial Brain so highly in my modern death metal tier list video. This New York band combines dissonance, brutality, and progressive song structures in a way that gives even Gorguts a run for their money.
Inconceivable!
And all the while crafting compositions that are never style over substance or simply technical for technicality's sake. Tracks like A Lofty Grave and Celestial Cyst are the perfect examples, traversing a challenging display of blast beats, pace changes, and gurgly death growls while still maintaining a sense of earworm hooks and memorable melodies. Now, make no mistake, this is still not for the average normie death metal fan. I'd argue it's still a touch more accessible than Gorguts, but if your idea of difficult to listen to, again, is still just Cannibal Corpse, I might suggest inoculating yourself first with the likes of Ulcerate and Portal. Either way, this is another fine entry into the Artificial Brain catalog. Then we have Exocrine with the Hybrid Suns. This French progressive death metal band continues to be one of my favorite modern death metal bands ever since I heard Ascension back in 2017. Few bands manage to be so spectacularly technical while still delivering great songs that are highly memorable, not to mention their ability to also harness this in favor of incredible atmosphere on tracks like Dying Light and the Hybrid Suns. Really, just pick a song at random and both the drumming and guitar work will twist your brain into a knot. But always to a highly satisfying and deeply infectious groove. Not a single dud here at 9 tracks and just 35 enthralling minutes, and arguably even better than the last album. Recommended for fans of Archspire, Cryptopsy, and Obscura, Exocrine are the best tech death band that too many people have never heard of. Changing things up again, we have Kardashev with Liminal Rite. Kardashev are one of those bands that take pieces from almost every genre and rebuild them into something completely unique. Post-metal, death metal, black metal, and progressive metal all come together for a truly haunting sound that some refer to as death gaze, all in service of a deeply sorrowful yet restorative and introspective atmosphere. The music seems to drift around the listener like a wraith, the guitar is reminiscent of black gaze bands like Deaf Heaven, while singer and vocal coach Mark Garrett alternates harrowing blackened snarls and deep death bellows with pristine blissful cleans. And cap it all off with some additional piano and saxophones to make the nearly 12-minute closer an all the more potent conclusion. Easily one of the most emotionally impactful albums of the year, and check out my video with Mark where we talk about our favorite metal vocalists. Then it's time for some fun with Alestorm and 7th Rum of a 7th Rum.
It's time to have some fun. To the east, it's time for a quest.
You know, despite loving folk metal, pirates, and lyrics that put a smile on my face, for some reason Alestorm have just never really appealed to me. But by the time Cannonball rolled around, I was definitely sold on this one. Accordion and fiddle are always welcome additions alongside good time energy, and does anyone else hear the Back to the Future theme on the very Ensiferum-esque Magellan's Expedition?
Go!
Tons of other great moments too, like the Children of Bodom-esque synth solo on Under Blackened Banners, the 8-bit elements on Party, or the bombastic brass on the title track. If you're just looking for a fun bit of humorous escapist fantasy that everyone could use a healthy dose of right now, this is definitely the album for you. Don't forget the grog. And also don't forget to let me know your favorite metal albums of June down in the comments, but next up is Inanimate Existence with the Masquerade. This progressive death metal band has been steadily churning out albums since 2012, and each of them has something a little different and special to offer. I'm partial to 2016's Calling from a Dream myself, but the Masquerade is another really strong contender for their best. The genuine passion, raw energy, and meticulous attention to pacing and memorable moments is clear on great tracks like Endless Waves, Buried Beneath Scars, and Return to the Dream. This thing is loaded with hooks, arguably more so than ever before, and without ever compromising their focus on challenging progressive composition and stirring atmosphere. It's at once riff-heavy and highly introspective, with appeal to both passive listeners and musician nerds alike. And it doesn't hurt that despite the serious nature of the music, they can also have a sense of humor in their music videos. Then a real surprise here with Profiler and Profiler. As some of you may know from my tier list, I'm a bit of an unapologetic nu metal fan, so I'm always interested when newer bands like Tala enter the fray. Profiler is the latest of such bands to end up on my radar, and they definitely feed my inner 16-year-old's love of bands like Deftones, Linkin Park, and Incubus. A track like Glitch Theory is a great place to start with its fusions of try not to headbang challenge grooves and drifting atmospheric elements. Honestly, even if you don't like nu metal, there's plenty to love here for fans of everything from 90s alternative groups like Helmet and Quicksand to more modern acts like Northlane and Loathe. And if this EP is leaving you hungry for more, there's a number of other great singles you can check out like 93 and Metamorphosis to expand your listening session. Then we have Astronoid with Radiant Bloom. With alternations of shoegaze and metal guitars in the vein of Death Heaven alongside dreamy falsetto vocals akin to Danish rock band Mew, Astronoid always makes for a great palate cleanser amidst my deep dives into blackened death metal, and that continues to be true of Radiant Bloom. Tracks like Eyes drag me back out of the dark shadowy depths to float blissfully in the bright and colorful worlds depicted in their album art, while still delivering some killer headbanging riffs on others like Sedative. It may not be for everyone, especially on a metal channel, but if you only want to hear the same stuff over and over again, you're kind of in the wrong place.
Stop it. Get some help.
As someone who loves exploring all forms of music, I always appreciate bands that are doing something a little different, and you're not likely to find another album this year that sounds quite the same as Radiant Bloom. But for those who are just looking for more heavy, we have Hypermass with Empyrean. As if Exocrine wasn't already enough, we got another progressively tinged bit of head-bobbing death metal from Norway. Comparisons in the press release ranged from Revocation to Gojira, but listening extended them even further to the likes of Born of Osiris and Sixth, with constant alternations between grooving gent, chugging prog, and shredding soloing on great tracks like Equalizer. Sometimes coalescing into some pretty stunning atmosphere as well, on the likes of To Dissect and Serve, Behind the Leviathan, and the title track. And all of this held together by a clear emphasis on rhythm, not only in the already impressive drumming, but right down to some of the almost hip-hop sounding vocal cadences. It's a good time to be a technical death metal fan. Then we have Knoll with Metempiric. So time for some absolutely harrowing extreme metal for fans of Full of Hell, Wormrot, and Indian. The vocals are like 1,000 razor blades slicing at you from a chaotic tornado of technical musicianship. Sometimes also throwing in some insane Lost Highway-esque saxophone on Dislimbed, Tether and Swine, and Throw of Upheaval. 13 songs come in short, focused blasts of pure, menacing violence save for the 8+ minute conclusion, and in spite of the more unhinged qualities of this album, it never feels random. In fact, the attention to detail kept me deeply engaged over its focused 34-minute runtime. And you're never far from some sort of jaw-dropping set piece as on Guild of Blotted Lucre.
Disgusting!
Fitting that the artwork was also completed by fellow soul sucker Ethan McCarthy of Primitive Man and Vermin Womb. Then we have Soreption with Jord. Yes, we have yet another technical progressive death metal album out this week that y'all couldn't seem to shut the fuck up about, but for good reason. In this case, if you love infectiously syncopated start-stop grooves and vocals a la, again, Archspire, you are going to love this album. It's yet another to add to the list of highly proficient musicians who also understand that at the end of the day, no amount of wankery can replace memorable songwriting. Yes, it's the tech musician's wet dream, but also in service of fun, above all else. A level of precision that appeals to robots, but also enough humanity to make them become self-aware. Fuck headbanging, I can't listen to this without getting my entire body moving. Quick shoutouts for Exocrine, Seor, and Vatican, but my next slot had to go to White Ward and False Light. Even in these troubled times for the region, this Ukrainian band continues to drop some of the most unique and resonant black metal in the game. White Ward tackle heady philosophical and social issues through a stunning mix of post-metal, progressive, and dark jazz, all working in unison to carry highly ambitious compositions like the 13+ minute brass-infused Leviathan or post-punk influenced Kronos. Alongside the likes of Imperial Triumphant, White Ward prove that if given the opportunity, people still respond to music that tosses the rulebook in the garbage. It's high art that avoids pretension by also being deeply visceral and relatable in its seemingly bottomless sorrow. So if you appreciate music that isn't just a carbon copy of everything else, do yourself a favor and check out the most ambitious album of the month. Consider them like the A24 of black metal. Y'all check out this playlist for more best of the year lists, including my best albums of 2022 so far. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.